Welcome to Ghostly, the podcast that puts the paranormal on trial.
Every 2 weeks, I unearth a chilling ghost story, tracking down the legends, the eyewitness accounts, and the history behind a haunting.
And I, your friendly neighborhood skeptic, get to tag along to poke holes in her theories. My job is to find the logical explanation, the creaky floorboards behind the ghostly footsteps.
In the end, it's not up to us. It's up to you, our listener, to weigh the evidence.
Yeah, you get to decide, is it a genuine haunting?
Or is it all entirely senseless talk?
Before we summon the spirits today, make sure to hit the subscribe or follow button wherever you're listening. It's the best way to make sure you never miss a new spooky tale.
As always, we are your hosts.
I'm Pat.
And I'm Rebecca. Now let's turn down the lights and see what's waiting for us in the shadows. Is the Marshall Field Mansion in Chicago haunted?
All right, so we are going to be talking about the Marshall Field Mansion today, which is not currently standing. So it cannot be currently haunted. Maybe the location of it.
Well, it's been remodeled quite a bit, but it is still standing. The Marshall Field Mansion, I should say, that I'm going to be talking about today.
Oh, okay. I'm talking about a different one?
Well, I think we're talking about similar. Well, okay. So there's Marshall Field Sr. and Marshall Field Jr.
Yes.
Marshall Field Jr. built his mansion right next door to Marshall Field Sr.'s mansion. So when you're looking up the history, you can get a little bit of both in there.
Nice.
But the hauntings are in Junior's, which does still stand. However, it has been significantly remodeled.
Okay. Interesting factoid there. Okay. So I just want to give a quick little, I don't even know what it would be called. Promo. Yeah. We are going to be at Fan Expo Chicago on Saturday, August 16th at 5:15 will be Ghostly's panel, but we will also be in another panel with our good friend Scott Larson at 3:15. Both of them are going to be phenomenal panels. So if you're in the Chicagoland area, you get to see us do 2 panels.
Yeah, and both are going to be on the creator stage, which is kind of fun because it's right on the floor stage.
Yeah,
it's not you don't have to go and leave and go to some panel room somewhere. Nope, you can just come see us right there on the stage.
Yeah, and also what I find is, when you're at one of these conventions, that there's usually not a good place to sit down. Mm-hmm. This is a great place to sit down and just, relax for a second in between your shopping.
Absolutely. Come and listen to some ghosty, spooky stuff.
Yeah, we're really excited. We have some guests, and I could announce those guests now, too.
Oh, yeah, they are confirmed.
For the Ghostly panel at 5:15, we have Bob Anderson from Bob After Dark. As you would expect, we do a lot of panels with Bob. But also, do you want to say the other one?
Sure. We have David Vox Mullen.
Yeah.
Comedian, stand-up comedian,
musician,
improviser.
Everything. He's done everything.
He's
Producer.
Done all the things. But for Ghostly, he's an exorcist.
Yeah. So he is our he is our exorcism expert.
Exorcist in
training.
No,
he's not.
No. On staff. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
Staff,
that doesn't really work. But I had a phrase in my mind. Anyways, he's been on the show before. You may have heard some of his episodes. There's a good chance we'll be revisiting some of those things, and you'll get to hear him talk about it in person, which is exciting.
After he's had time to reflect on things.
Exactly.
Too, so.
And also Bob has been to some of these locations and experienced these things too. So we're super excited to have them with us. And the panel with Scott is also going to be great. If you missed us at C2E2, it'll probably be pretty similar. We'll have some more cemetery talk.
Ooh,
so
cemeteries.
All the ghosties. And then you also get things like Star Wars and other stuff going on. So it's a super fun convention.
And Ghostbusters and all that stuff. Yeah. All right. So let's get to the episode proper here. So I want to take you guys on this little journey. So imagine a street in old Chicago. Old Chicago was very different than the Chicago that we see today. Mm-hmm. It was a lot darker, a little grimier, But in this particular area, it wasn't so much so. It was a street that was so grand that they called it Millionaire's Row. On this street, called Prairie Avenue, stood a house that was more than just a house. It was a symbol of Chicago's ambition and the incredible fortune of the man who built it. This was the Marshall Field Mansion. It was a statement of power, a showcase for the latest technology, and the center of social life for Chicago's most powerful people. But like the glamorous era it was born in, its time in the spotlight would eventually come to an end.
From ghostly figures in the windows to chilling whispers in empty rooms, believers say this mansion is anything but quiet. But is it truly haunted or just haunted by history?
Ah, I like that. Yeah, very good. So we're going to dive into that in just a second. Now would be the part where we do shout outs. We don't have any shout outs. You can get a shout out by giving us a review on Apple Podcast or by joining Patreon. So you can get to Patreon by going to ghostlypodcast.com and just clicking on the Patreon link in the menu bar.
Yeah, and that helps us keep Ghostly going. Again, we put all the money we get from Patreon right back into Ghostly, and we appreciate your support.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, I've got Abigail's letter.
Yes.
We're continuing for listener mail today.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Abigail actually wrote us a physical letter for those that haven't been listening. If you want to do that, you can send it with a stamp on it to P.O. Box number 264, Geneva, Illinois, 60134. You're not going to remember that address, so just go to ghostlypodcast.com and scroll to the bottom. We have it in the footer. Also, you can email us at info@ghostlypodcast.com, or we actually have a contact us form on the website as well.
Yeah. And of course, we're on all the socials at Ghostly Podcast. Just send us a message there. And I do have a few that I'm going to get to after we finish Abigail's letter, but we definitely need more. So please keep them coming in. All right. So last time she told us the story of how when she was walking home, you basically caused a gust of wind to come in.
Because I said shiver.
Because you said shiver.
Yeah.
All right. So let's continue. So after that, the next topic I would like to touch on is my personal relationship with ghosts.
Oh, okay.
Okay. I would like to believe that they exist, but there is very little real evidence for it besides vibes. And at best, one or two grainy pictures that logic can explain away. And then in parentheses, I think Pat goes a little out there for some explanations, but I digress. However, I was
going to say that there are some things out there that we can't explain, but I don't jump to the paranormal when it comes to that. I just come to that we can't explain it.
Gotcha. All right, I'm going back into Abigail here.
Okay.
However, I want to believe they exist. I really do. I have always been afraid of them, and I refuse to believe I'm crazy. But my family has stories, lots of them, and so I will tell. Several decades ago, my mother and her family lived in a house in a city in Hiram, Utah. One day, my aunt was curling her hair. I think it was something along those lines. That side of the family has straight hair. And she heard a door slam from downstairs. No one was home, so she did the very logical thing of booking it out of the house. Then she remembered the curler, ran back in, unplugged the curler, and ran back out of the house. The house itself was just weird, and still to this day, my mother states that every nightmare she has takes place in that house.
Wow.
I love that story. There's a couple things I like about this little section of the letter. Number one, I think a lot of our listeners probably relate to what she says about, like, we want to believe that they exist, but a lot of times it's maybe difficult, but, we are continuing to look for evidence.
Yeah.
And then I love the idea that you get so scared that you're like, I gotta get out of here. But then you're like, wait, fire hazard, go back in and unplug the curler.
My takeaways of this story, though, is a little different than yours. I'm going to say that I was like, as soon as she said curling iron, I was like, oh, yeah. Because curling irons back in the day, if you turn them on, they would not turn themselves off ever.
No.
And they would cause a fire.
They would cause a fire, yeah.
Nowadays, we have a lot safer curling irons. And I know this because I have a heated beard brush. For those, interested, I get questions all the time about my beard stuff. No, I don't. But if you're ever interested, I use a heated beard brush, and the heated beard brush will turn itself off. It also doesn't get hot to the touch, really. You have to be really in the bristles.
Now, you do turn it off, though, right? I mean, like, you don't just be like, I'm going to let the timer.
No.
Okay.
I've never tested that theory.
Okay.
That it
but
actually
theoretically,
works.
it should turn itself off. I gotcha. Well, it reminds me of a story when I was going through a haunted house as a preteen, and there was a room where we were kind of like,
where it just had a bunch of curling irons plugged in.
No.
Okay.
We were kind of like in the dark and trying to find our way like to the other side of the room, and something came out and scared us. It was me and two of my friends, and so we panicked, of course, screamed and ran. Well, my one friend lost her shoe in this process.
Oh no.
And so when we were leaving the room, she's like, wait, I lost my shoe. And me and the other friend were like, forget the shoe.
It's gone forever.
Like, we're so scared. Luckily, she was a bit more practical of a person and was like, no, I kind of need my shoe. And made them turn on the light. And it was like a whole thing. We had to find the shoe.
Wow.
But it was, so in other words, I'm just saying, I don't know if I would have gone back in for the curling iron if I was
so the house would just be gone.
I don't know. I would have had to wait for somebody. All right. Are you ready for polls?
We have to do that this episode? I thought this episode we weren't going to do it.
Every episode.
Okay. All right.
All right. In our last episode for 4th of July, we talked about the ghosts from the War of 1812 at the White House.
Yes.
And we had yes, 48%, no, 52.
Wow.
Squeaker.
Wow. I don't think we could get much closer. We could do 51 to 49, I guess. But
pretty close.
And the overall rating is 4.15. So that's right in the middle there.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that is, I was surprised. I thought I lost that one for sure. If you want to vote on this episode or
any future episode,
you just go to ghostlypodcast.com and click on polls, or ghostlypodcast.com. And if you're slick, you could just put the / and spell out polls.
Yeah, it's easy. All right, I do have a ghost story.
Okay.
It's time for a spooky tale from our bad girl.
I used to walk my dog down Prairie Avenue every evening. Something about those old mansions, towering, silent, frozen in time, always drew me in. I told myself I liked the architecture, but deep down, I think I was chasing ghosts. One night in late October, I lingered outside the Marshall Field mansion. My dog froze, ears up, hackles raised. That wasn't like him. I followed his gaze, and that's when I saw him. A man, in the upper window, dressed in an old-fashioned suit, stiff collar, hand resting on the sill. He didn't move, just watched. His eyes weren't angry, more sad. Like he'd been waiting. I blinked and he was gone. The curtains hadn't even moved. I told myself it was a shadow, a trick of the light. But the next night, he was there again. Same window, same stillness. And this time, I swear I heard something. Marshall. It was a woman's voice, soft and desperate, drifting through the iron gate like a breeze. No one was around. My dog whimpered and pulled at the leash. We left fast. I stopped walking that route for a while until curiosity got the best of me. A few weeks later, I passed by again. The mansion was dark, the air strangely heavy, but something was off. The window was open, and resting on the inside ledge, plain as day, was a handprint. Too high up to reach, too fresh to ignore. I don't walk Prairie Avenue at night anymore, but sometimes, just before sleep, I hear the voice, Marshall. And I wonder, was he looking for someone, or was someone still looking for him?
Yeah, it was Lily. Lily was looking for her marsh pad or
marshmallow.
Yeah, marshmallow and lily pad.
I see.
Okay, so how much of this is completely made up?
I mean, this is pretty much made up. I mean,
what, Rebecca?
Now, it's based on some actual sightings and things,
Okay.
right? We're going to get to the guy in the window and we're going to get to the voice.
Okay.
But like this put together version is definitely not it. And then the handprint, that's just kind of an addition. So I don't want anyone, as you say, reaching out to us like, what? We've never heard that before.
We are the heirs to the Marshall Field fortune, and we would like to...
Which they do exist.
They do?
And they
Wow.
are still in Chicago.
And they listen to
active.
all the podcasts that they can.
Let's hope not. I do know someone that knows them. So
Oh, okay. Interesting.
yes.
All right. Well, we're going to take a short break, and when we return, we're going to get to the pet facts.
Pets, facts. From a skeptic point of view. Pets, facts. He presents it all to you. Pets, facts, facts.
All right. We're going to get into the pet facts.
Pet facts.
But I just want to say, I know I've been by this particular area, but I don't ever remember being on Prairie Street in the city.
Okay.
Do you know where that's at?
I think it's like near, like south of downtown ish, right? Is
So on the south side?
Yeah, but like not. I don't know. Like I think it's close to downtown.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I know I've been by here. I know I have because I've done a lot of Chicago tours and stuff like that, but I just can't remember this particular block for some reason. I don't know. You'd think I would. And I realized that when you were reading your story, too.
Yeah. It's historically extended from 16th Street down to the city limits and beyond. Prairie Street did. It's a north-south street.
Okay.
Prairie Avenue, I should say. Yeah, I don't really remember Prairie Avenue either, but it's anyways near South Side, I guess is what we call it, which kind of makes sense because I think a lot of there was a lot of old money in that area for sure.
Is that Bronzeville or whatever right now? It doesn't matter to me. It
Sorry,
doesn't matter to me.
if you're not
Just-
from people from Chicago are probably like, oh, it's
what
this.
are you talking about? Yeah.
Whatever. But
All right. Well, let's just get into it then. The story begins with Marshall Field. He was a very beloved man in Chicago, but also a very hated man in Chicago. It's very weird how much he did for Chicago and how much people blame him for in Chicago. He was the genius who changed the way people shop with his world-famous department store. In 1873, he decided to build a home that matched his success. He hired the best architect that he could find, a man named Richard Morris Hunt, who was famous for building incredible mansions for wealthy families like the Vanderbilts. When it was finished in 1876, the mansion was breathtaking. It cost around $2 million, which was a staggering amount of money back then. Right now, that could be like $1 billion or something in this day and age. This 3-story palace of red brick and stone was a true wonder. Most importantly, it was the very first house in all of Chicago to have electric lights.
mm-hmm.
This was even before the Columbian Exposition of 1893, where they showcased the city with white lights. That's why we became known as the White City after that for a short time. This showed everyone that Marshall Field was a man who looked to the future. Inside, it was just as magnificent, with a huge grand hall, a beautiful library, a grand ballroom for parties, and even a glass conservatory filled with rare and beautiful plants. Because, I mean, what are you if you don't have rare and beautiful plants in your house?
Of course, yeah.
But behind the grand walls of this palace, life was not always perfect. The mansion was home to the Field family. Marshall and his first wife, Nanny, raised their 2 children there, but for all its beauty, the house also saw great sadness. The marriage was a difficult one, and eventually the couple grew apart. Then tragedy struck. In 1905, their son, Marshall Field Jr., so it's easy to remember, died under mysterious circumstances. Of course, the death of Marshall Field Jr. is one of Chicago's most enduring mysteries, and the stories around it are quite dramatic. Here's a breakdown of what happened and the different theories. So the official story, the public was told that on November 22nd, 1905, Marshall Field Jr. accidentally shot himself in his home. The family claimed he was in his dressing room, cleaning a new automatic revolver, as one does in your dressing room, for an upcoming hunting trip, when it accidentally discharged. He was rushed to the hospital, but died from his injuries 5 days later.
Yeah, they did surgery on him and everything.
Oh, I'd imagine, yeah. Back then, a lot of times you don't die from the bullet itself. You die from infections that are caused from that. So then almost immediately, people began to doubt the official story. The biggest and most scandalous rumor was that Field Jr. himself, wasn't at home at all. The theory goes that he was actually at the Everleigh Club, which is a famously luxurious and notorious brothel. According to this story, he was involved in an altercation there, possibly with a prostitute, and was shot. To avoid a massive public scandal, the powerful family had him secretly move back to his mansion to make it look like an accident at home. So I know you sent me the story of the woman that confessed to this particular story.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. So the reason that this theory about the prostitute kind of even came out is because there was a woman, the prostitute herself, who came out and said that she's the one that shot him. And Vera Scott was her name.
That was not her given name.
No,
that was her made up name.
Exactly, for her work.
Yeah.
She also confessed that she had killed her second husband.
Yeah.
But she basically said that she did it in self-defense. Another name that she had was Viola Gilmore, in case you see that. But
yeah.
Anyways, she tells.
So she's one of the Gilmore Girls.
She tells a really, really long story that he really was in love with her, and that they would hang out at the club, but and then there was supposedly one night where it was her and another girl, and that he was gonna
got a little frisky.
Yeah, a little too much. And so anyways.
But, here's what gets me, though, in this particular story. The reason why I didn't want to include it in the history itself is that, or I didn't want to say it. I'm more than happy for you to say it. So she accidentally shot him then.
Right.
Holding the gun, thinking she was just going to intimidate him.
Right. And it was very
precise. This gun, and it shot him. And he said to her after that, he said, "Don't worry, I won't tell anybody. Just throw me in a cab."
Mm-hmm. And that he himself took himself home.
Yeah.
And then went in his dressing room, and then that's how they found him.
But why would you say, "Don't worry, I'm not going to tell anybody," after you get shot? So you don't get shot again, maybe?
Well, I think yes.
Okay.
I think, yeah, right? Because otherwise, if you're, if he lives, then he can tell everybody that you're the one that shot him, where if he died.
That part of the story was just weird, that she would say that he said, I don't know, whatever. It's just a really weird story. I don't know if it's true. She was never prosecuted for this.
Can I just say one other thing? She also claims that Marshall Field Sr. came to her the next day and offered her $10,000 to leave and go to New York, but that she didn't.
Well, she didn't at that time, but eventually she did. She just moved from hotel. She was instructed by Marshall Field Sr. to move from hotel to hotel and eventually go to New York, and then eventually go to a different country, and was given $26,000 total, which is like $750,000 in today's money.
Yeah.
I don't know, whatever.
Well, it's all crazy too because we have all this information from newspaper articles at the time.
Yeah.
I mean, you can only imagine. I mean, just think of any big famous person today, some rich person, and that their son dies, at home alone, and it's a suicide. Well, even
I didn't even get to the suicide part yet.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, I shouldn't say not accident. That it was an accident, right? That he, that there would be rumors of weirdness from it.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So the other theory that Rebecca alluded to is that there's a suicide theory. That another possibility is that he was deeply depressed and took his own life. However, no suicide note was ever found, but that doesn't mean anything because if you're this wealthy family, you would much rather he have died of an accident than a suicide because at the time, suicide was considered like the worst thing that that anybody could ever do. They would rather you murder somebody than commit suicide. So
yeah, definitely a very kind of against God. I think.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, that was considered the ultimate sin.
Yes.
That you can create. Anyways, because of the family's immense power and influence, the official investigation concluded that it was an accident. However, the conflicting stories and the tantalizing possibilities of a cover-up have kept the mystery alive for over a century. We will likely never know for sure what truly happened that night, and I don't think it matters to too many people what happened that night, just that, he passed.
Well, at the time, I'm sure it was a good, fun gossip for the people
I'm sure
of Chicago, but it hasn't really endured that much compared to some other, I think, Chicago stories.
I gotta say, I had vaguely heard of it. I had not known it was this big of a scandal. And I love this time period too. So it would have been something that I would have really picked up on if it was something bigger.
Yeah,
Sure.
So
just a short time after the death of Marshall Field Jr., the elder Marshall Field, now 70 years old, remarried. But his new happiness didn't last long. In 1906, just a year later, the great merchant prince himself passed away. So what would become of the great mansion? After Marshall Field's death, his grandson inherited the property. Instead of living in it, he decided to give it a new life. He donated the mansion to be used for the arts. This was a start of a new chapter for the house. In 1937, the old palace became home to a famous new school of art and design called the New Bauhaus. The grand rooms that once hosted fancy parties were now filled with students and artists creating the future of design.
That's architecture too. It's a big part of that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But even this new purpose couldn't save the mansion forever. Times were changing. The Prairie Avenue neighborhood was no longer the fashionable place it once was. The grand old house were seen as old-fashioned, and so in 1955, the wrecking ball arrived. The magnificent palace, the house that had been a symbol of Chicago's power and glamour, was torn down. Today, if you go to that spot, you will find no trace of the mansion. It's gone. The story of the Marshall Field's mansion is a powerful reminder that nothing, not even the grandest of palaces, last forever, especially in Chicago. It shows us how cities change and how even the most impressive symbols of an era can fade into history.
Yes. And like I said, it's hard because there's this Marshall Field Sr., his house, but he purchased, so that was 1905 South Prairie, and he purchased 1919 South Prairie for Marshall Field Jr. And had Solon Spencer Beeman contributed to the design of the junior mansion, and then Daniel Burnham even helped add on to it in 1890.
Burnham is my favorite architect. Well, one of. Frank Lloyd Wright is probably my top one, but anyways.
In 2007, the Commission on Chicago Landmarks announced the rehabilitation of the Marshall Field Jr. mansion, which had been vacant for 40 years and was renovated as 6 private residences. However, if you look at it, it like even the exterior has been significantly altered like over the years.
Okay.
So I know it's tricky because I kind of put them together almost as like a house.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like they were right next door. They were really and they were both built by Marshall Field, like Senior, you know, I mean, even though Junior lived in the one mansion.
Well, I mean, I'm pretty familiar with the area that it is, that it's in. And from what I would remember from that area is it's gone through a lot of changes in its time. Like it was once probably this place that people speak of where all the millionaires lived. But then it was like the exact opposite of that. It went to a lot of poor and it was like it changed completely.
Yeah.
In that time. And like living in Chicago, you can tell when a neighborhood goes that dramatically, you see it in the places. You can see some traces of its history, but like the places will look totally different. But now it's got this new revival thing. That's right by the Field Notes place, I believe, or kind of close-ish to there. So it's got a whole new life now, and that area is really becoming up and up again.
Yeah, it is. Yes.
So,
South Loop, near South Loop is definitely up and coming. There's the Glessner House is on that street. I think that one is a little bit more well preserved.
Sure.
I think there's one other one. I can't remember the name of it, but yeah. So a lot of them were torn down or completely changed, which is what happened to the Field mansions.
Yeah, and our friend Scott Larson that we do panels with and that we're going to do a panel with on August 16th, he often says that Chicago gets embarrassed of its history, of its darker history. So it will completely cover it up. It will knock down buildings.
Yes.
Like for instance, if you go back to our St. Valentine's Day massacre episode, that particular place, nothing stands there, and nothing would give you any indication that this is a place where all of this violence happened.
And, you know, it's funny because people will often think of Chicago based on some of that violent history. But like you said, we don't preserve it.
No.
Or, you know, again, Marshall Field was a huge factor in changing, how, like you said, how we shop, how we live.
Yeah.
And yet no effort was made to save his mansion.
Well, also Marshall Field, too. So let me say this about that change. He was very much like Sears in that they had a catalog, too, that you could order from. And catalog shopping became a huge thing. So even if you weren't from the Chicagoland area, you could still have Marshall Field's items in your house.
Oh, interesting.
Because you would buy from the catalog and they would ship it over.
And I mean, those of us that grew up in Chicago, just one last piece here we can talk about for history is just obviously the store itself is iconic for us. And, you know, it got changed and bought out by Macy's. Many years ago, and so now any bags that people have that still say Marshall Fields on them or anything like that is always like highly coveted. But I remember every Christmas going to Marshall Fields and seeing Santa, and you know, it was like a big thing for my whole family. We ate around the Christmas tree and all of that, and I remember it was just always so much fun to go to that store. I mean, there were other stores more that were closer to us that we would go to as well. In malls and whatever. But the flagship store downtown is still there. Has a lot of the same.
It's Macy's though.
Yeah, it's Macy's, but there is a lot of the same stuff there.
Yeah, you can actually see the name still on it too. I believe in some locations.
Yeah.
You know, so it's funny because Chicago, like when a building changes names, like recently the Sears Tower changed to the Willis Tower.
Not that recently, but yes.
Yeah, but I mean, that is the most recent in our history that we can say a big building change names. We will not call it that, though. Here.
No, it's been like 15, 20 years or something like that.
We still call it the Sears Tower. Just like the Macy's, we will probably call Marshall Fields forever, except I think it's starting to come around for that one.
That one, I think a little bit more. But I would, if someone said, take me to Fields or something like that, I would totally. Yeah. And we do still have the Field Museum.
Yes.
Which I didn't. This is why, I mean, I don't know why I never put this together, but I guess So the Field Museum.
Well, because we always call it the Fields Museum. We always put an S at the end of things.
No,
so.
only you do that. I don't never.
Only Southsiders do that.
But in my mind, the Field Museum, it has things from the field. It has like dinosaurs and like natural. It's a natural history museum. So for some reason, I didn't realize it was the person. But yeah, years ago in his lifetime, he left a ton of money to them, and they called it the Field
not
Museum.
only a ton of money, but a ton of property and stuff too. A lot of the stuff in there was from his own collection as well. Too.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Because he was a weird guy and collected a lot of things as these billionaires do. So yeah, he was worth it was like $100 million or something like that, which was like equivalent to like $4 billion today.
That's crazy.
But it's not as big as some places, but I mean, some people, now, but you have to imagine that was because he used the stuff of the time to make that money. He would have made a lot more money. He would have probably been one of the wealthiest men in the world if he was alive right now.
Oh,
so.
Absolutely. I'm sure he still would have found a way.
All right. So we're going to take a short break, and I guess Rebecca's got some evidence then.
Yes.
All right, Rebecca, it's time for a debate.
All right. So I wanted to just check back in. As we mentioned, there is a little bit of controversy surrounding Marshall Field Jr.'s death.
Yes.
And I think that is often what people will point to as a reason why there might be some weirdness in the mansion. That there was obviously a family that was unhappy. And as you mentioned too, Marshall Field Jr. grew up with parents that were very unhappy. It was a very unhappy home. And so I guess I'll say this. While there is definitely speculation, or I should say doubt really, about the whether or not he died at the Everly Club, there isn't a lot of question of whether or not he went to the Everly Club. Maybe not that night.
Oh, he was well known there.
But he was well known to frequent that place.
Yeah.
So it certainly was a scandal when people found that out.
I don't even know if that was against the law at that time, though.
Well, I don't even know if it was against the law, but it was certainly looked down upon. Yeah, definitely very scandalous.
Especially by the social elites.
Absolutely,
yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's start with I think probably one of the biggest ones is that we have multiple people that claim to see a man in late 19th century clothing, believed to be Marshall Field Jr., staring out from an upper floor window of the mansion. And as we've heard these stories before, he vanishes when you get closer or look at him too closely. And they do happen often in the evening around the anniversary of his death.
Okay. Well, what I'm going to say is that, so I was kind of alluding to that some of these buildings, even though they look completely different, if you look hard enough, you can see remains of the grandeur that they once had.
Yes.
And I believe that sticks with us. And I believe it's like a psychological thing where we would interpret things differently then. We would see it differently once we've noticed that. And I believe that anything that you see in that particular window, which probably is absolutely nothing that you're seeing, or a shadow of something else, like a coat rack or something like that, makes you instantly, it transports your mind into this day and age. So you would see something like that. So I'm going to say that this is just probably people's eyes fooling them. They're not really seeing something there.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So what's your rating then?
I'm going to go 0 on this one.
Okay.
Yeah. What about you? What do you think?
I'm going to give it a 6.
6. Okay.
Like, do I think it's possible that people see him in the window over the years? Sure. I think it's possible. But I also have some healthy skepticism, because again, they're seeing it through a window. So
skepticism is healthy.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So I'm a healthy individual then.
Sure. Now, can you take it too far?
No, you can't. If a little bit is healthy, then a lot is really healthy. No, I'm going to say, how often have you driven by something and been like, wait a second, what was that? I saw something, and you don't really see something. It's like if you actually get a chance to analyze what that thing is, you realize it's something, your mind's just playing tricks on you.
Yeah. Though I wonder too how often people even really know what that house is.
I don't even think they need to. I just think that they see maybe that it has like some sconces or something like that where they can see, and that it takes them back to this time period. So it puts whatever they see in this particular clothing.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So as we talked about, there has been remodeling that's happened. So supposedly contractors and preservation workers that have been there have reported cold spots. We often hear about cold spots, particularly near the grand staircase, often without explanation and even during warm months. One even described the temperature drop as, quote, like walking into a freezer, end quote. So paranormal investigators often consider cold spots a hallmark of a ghostly presence. Ding, ding, ding.
I mean, they consider that a hallmark, but there's no scientific reason why there should be it should be cold when there's ghost present. We just kind of assign that to it, like everything else we do. So just to start that off, so it doesn't mean anything necessarily. Oftentimes you can design a house where certain rooms are cooler, right? You can make that. So that can be a design feature, or it can be a flaw of the house. Maybe the house was designed in a way that it creates this kind of vortex of cold energy there that would
vortex of cold energy, not a microclimate.
I.e. a microclimate, yeah.
We had a new phrase a few episodes ago. I forget what that was now,
but I'm just gonna say that I think that. I don't think that means anything necessarily when you find a cold spot in a house. Especially if it could be reproduced a lot, like every time you walk over there, it's cold. What really gets freaky is like all of a sudden it gets cold and then it's no longer cold after that.
Which is my impression of what they're talking about, but I don't know for sure.
Yeah. It sounds like to me that it's all the time.
Well, I guess if he's describing it as a temperature drop, like walking into a freezer, I don't know. Maybe it's like you walk into that area, or is it that all of a sudden it does that? Mm-hmm. I don't know. And being near the staircase, that's not even necessarily like a specific room. Yeah, I don't know. But for whatever reason, it did weird out these people that worked there. So I have to give it some credibility then. And again, the way you describe it, man, a vortex of cold energy, that sounds creepy. So I'll give that one a 7.
All right, I'm going to go 0 again because I have to give it some credit too. So 0.
All right, couple more pieces here.
Okay.
There have been reports of whispers. Mm-hmm. So kind of we heard that in the story, particularly of a woman's voice calling out a name, possibly Marshall, echoing through the halls. The voices are faint but chilling, and in at least one case, 2 different people claim to hear the same name while standing in separate rooms.
Marshall can sound like wind too. Marshall. Yeah, it could sound like wind. So I'm just saying that maybe this house is especially drafty, especially given the vortex of cold energy by the by the entrance there. I'm gonna say that this one is just the wind. That's all that they're hearing, and I get that it is like when you're in an environment too that sometimes is a little spookier. It is easy to interpret these things as being more than they are because your mind's already there. You know, your mind's already ready to go.
You're in a house with cold spots in random places.
Vortexes of cold energy.
And voices on the air calling out names. Yeah, my mind would probably be pretty freaked out.
Yeah, no, it's not actual names though, and it's not actual. It's a microclimate. So 0 on this one.
Okay, I'm gonna give this one. I'll give it a 6, just because I do think that yeah, I could see that. Like, it might be hard to distinguish. Is it a name or is it just a noise in the house?
Even a door closing sometimes can produce a noise, like
but
a
I don't
swirling
typically
noise.
think oh, someone just said a name.
Oh my God. You don't ever hear your name called? Like, I hear it sometimes. I'm like, wait, what is that? But oftentimes for me, it's like somebody saying dad or something like that. Or Pat is an easy one.
I was going to say Rebecca's a bit more complicated.
It's single syllable. So it's really easy for me where it's like.
I was going to say, I was about to get very worried for you when you're like, I often hear my name being called and there's no one there.
Yeah.
I mean, I know you've brought upon many hauntings to yourself as we've been going through these episodes.
Hey, I'm still here.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
just saying.
Just saying. All right. Well, let's go to the last piece here. So as we've heard, right, you've got people seeing this guy in the window. We've got, again, a death in the house, cold spots that the workers are feeling, and they're hearing, names being called out. So when new owners took over the residence, one of the new owners, they performed an exorcism to expel an ethereal miasma miasma from the place, which basically is kind of like, not that there's necessarily a specific ghost that people are seeing is what that's about. Is it's like a noxious or poisonous atmosphere, or just kind of like a heavy feeling. I think of it sometimes a little bit of the paranormal situations where people kind of just are like, this place just feels bad. It feels heavy, right? And so the idea was it felt that way and they wanted to dispel that.
Okay.
So for whatever, I mean, it's not necessarily specific, like a ghost sighting, but I thought that was pretty revealing that they're like, okay, I'll live here, but we got to do an exorcism first.
Okay. So first of all,
get rid of the bad mojo.
I think exorcism is a bad choice of words for this particular thing, because I think an exorcism is performed on people.
So maybe more like what would you say? A cleansing?
Cleansing, yeah. This is essentially that they burn sage, pretty much. That is no, that's essentially it.
Yeah,
I mean,
that
they
is
might
what
have had
people do.
somebody. They might have had somebody do it, but that's essentially it. And first of all, we don't know. Maybe in every one of their residencies, they do that prior to moving in. A lot of times, people do. A lot of times, people will do some kind of cleansing thing. Even people that don't necessarily believe. It's just their little ritual for moving in is that they will do some kind of cleansing thing. Sweeping out the door, that's actually a cleansing.
I think there's some believerness to any of that.
Maybe, or it's just superstition that they just do this, and they just do this because this is what they were taught to do. It doesn't mean that they necessarily believe, though. But anyways, as I said, most people don't know that a broom is a very powerful cleansing tool, and oftentimes used in pagan circles. That's why witches are notorious with brooms, because brooms can cleanse out areas too as well. And also too, these people were probably more kitchen witches, and they use stuff around the kitchen and stuff. So a broom would be, anyways. But this could be a lot of those kind of things: sage burning, broom stuff. It could be It could be something else. They could chant things. They could read passages from the Bible in different areas. Might seem very exorcism-ish, but some people do that, as I said, whenever they move into a place, irregardless of any feelings that they have in that particular location. And they might say that they feel something like that until they do it, because that's their ritual. So I'm going to have to go 0 on this one.
Wow. All right. This one's a 7 for me again. I think if you're going through the effort to cleanse or exercise your space because you feel it has a bad feel to it, then, that definitely says something about the place. And actually, I'm just going to put this out there. We just met somebody that does house cleansings, and maybe we'll have to see if we can ask them to be on. We can learn more about it. I think that would be interesting.
Yeah, maybe they can cleanse the studio.
Ooh, there you go.
Yeah. I mean, I'm all for it, whatever.
All right.
I've done cleansing rituals and stuff before.
Folks,
so
he is a believer in skeptics clothing.
Speaking of which, so what is your overall rating, Rebecca?
So it's hard because I gave a couple 6s and a couple 7s. And I can't do 6.5. So I'm going to go 7 just because. All
right. Well, I'm going to go 0 because that rounds up mine. So.
Okay.
And that brings us to the closing arguments. This is our last chance to convince you to vote our way. Remember, you can vote on ghostlypodcast.com/polls or click on polls.
Yep.
Also, we usually post on social media a link for you to go to. We are each given 1 minute of uninterrupted time that we will time on Ghostly Studio Timer. Rebecca, are you ready?
I am ready.
And we're going to go in just a second because it's a long countdown to get started here. All right. And.
All right. So I believe that the Marshall Field Jr. mansion is haunted. I think it's haunted for a couple reasons. One, lot of kind of bad feel that comes from the field name in general. I mean, I'm going to be honest, like we kind of talked about a lot of positive connotations of like our memory of going to the stores and stuff. But Pat also alluded, right? I mean, Field made a lot of money and he wasn't always a great guy. And so his son kind of inherited that. And, you could see he was kind of that rich boy that wasn't the greatest person, maybe. I mean, depending. A little controversy with how he passed. And so it doesn't surprise me that some of that sticks around in the house. Like this may not be the most haunted place we've ever talked about, but I do think there is some lingering, ghostly bad energy there.
Oh, you almost ran out of time there.
I know.
Wow.
I made it though.
Wow. All right. I'm going to go. And it's going to take just a second for the countdown timer to warm up here enough to get to the point where it can do it. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, and I'm going to go. So in this episode, we talk a lot about the feels. We talk about how people feel, what they think that they might see. We have a lot of those kind of things. And when it boils down to it, we have nothing that is actual evidence. Again, this is something that a lot of these places have. I mean, we still need to cover these kind of episodes, but I feel that this one, that there's not much to go by just by creepy feels. And I get creepy feels sometimes, when I go into work, it happens all the time. So I don't think it's anything.
Wow, you had a lot of time left there.
I did.
You're just like, I don't need it.
I didn't need it for this one. So I want to give a shout out to our VIP producers, by the way, before we do anything else that make this possible. We have Andrew,
Alicia,
Becky,
Cindy,
Kevin,
Jessica,
Alice,
Aaron,
and Hope. So don't let your friends miss out on the chills. Share Ghostly with them and help us grow this community of paranormal enthusiasts. Your support means the world to us. Is it real? You be the judge. Share your verdict at ghostlypodcast.com poll section and let the debate continue. Subscribe to Ghostly now to get ready for more spine-tingling encounters with the unknown. We have a lot of episodes planned for our future, and we're excited to plan even more. So if you have any ideas, feel free to send us an email or a message or something like that.
Absolutely. In fact, one thing is I'd love to hear any ideas for our October episode Palooza. Yeah,
episode Palooza, you're calling it now. Ghostly Palooza?
Ghostly Palooza. No, we always do episodes, usually 4 episodes throughout October. So, and we like them to kind of be around some sort of theme. So if you have an idea of a theme, let us know.
I do.
Oh, yeah?
Skeptic stuff.
No, that's not any fun at Halloween.
Oh, it's a lot of fun.
No
it's
fun
a
at
lot
all.
of fun.
Help me with a better idea. Please, ghostlypodcast.com. Contact us for.
Rebecca, what's on the next Ghostly?
So the next episode, we're going to be talking about William Kehoe House in Savannah, Georgia.
Oh, Georgia.
A place I have not been, but would love to go.
Millions of peaches. Peaches for me. And when does that come out?
It comes out on July 30th.
All right. Until next time, people, stay ghostly.
Bye.